But we're going to defy people's perceptions.
Oh, I like that.
That's what's going to be.
So what are we diving into?
Because people have perceptions of us.
Misperception.
Well, no, perceptions.
Okay.
Perceptions.
Yeah. Misconceptions also of certain topics.
Yes. So I think it's going to be something really...
And it's ironic because I had the same misconceptions.
Yeah?
This exact same one.
Yeah.
It's funny how it turns out.
But when I first found out, I wanted to run away, to be honest. I remember the first time you came to me and you spoke to me about this new thing that you got.
Well, a new tool.
A new tool, but it's something that, you've been, like you said, you kept it inside of you for so many years, and that helped you to get through so many hard moments in your life. And then, you explained to me about all these tarot cards and, all these, higher self kind of concepts that you're talking to me. And for sure, the first time you told me about it, myself having these, perceptions of, tarot and, how it's portrayed in our society and where it comes from. I said, what the hell, what are you doing, Dave? You know what I mean? That's not the...
But even me, I spent 2-3 years studying the Bible. And when I started getting into, working with tarot, I struggled with so much, not only working with tarot, but all of my spiritual experiences that I've been having in communications and channeling sessions that I would have, and that's one of the reasons why I kept everything in, because I was struggling with them myself too, because I didn't know what to make of them. Because, man, I studied the Bible so hard, and he speaks against it. Never go seek, anyone for spiritual guidance or work with any fortune telling or any, tools or anything. But here I am communicating with some higher entities, but they've come to me since I was a child, and I don't know what to make of it. And then when I started working with tarot, I felt torn because, man, when I studied the Bible, it was telling me not to go towards these tools. And anyways, later on, I came to understand, and I found my full understanding of what that means personally for me. Maybe not for everyone, but personally for me, and it all makes sense. But, man, I got my first tarot deck. It was 2014. I have to tell you this story because there's a reason. Again, it's all synchronicity. Exactly what we spoke about last time. It's synchronistic moments that happen that you cannot deny. I never had an interest in tarot. I was never interested in tarot. Never researched it, never wanted to get into it. But man, I think we already mentioned about in 2013, towards I think December 2013 is when I had my emotional breakdown.
Yeah.
And then in January, that's when I had my near-death experience. And after that moment and all the months that followed, I lived that whole life with so much, like that whole year, I had a lot of frustration building up because I've had so many incredible spiritual experiences until that moment, right? Since I was a kid, and as I grew up, I had these spontaneous spiritual experiences. Sometimes I would meditate, nothing would happen. Sometimes I'd go meditate, and man, I'd leave, and I had these incredible, profound spiritual experiences.
Okay, but explain to me, when you say that though, you leave. Because leave is metaphorically.
Yeah,
right?
Well, it's like a trance, but we'll get more into this. It's all about the state of consciousness.
Yes.
My consciousness is what travels. It would leave my physical reality into a different, higher reality, okay? A higher realm. And that's part of the work that I've been dedicating the many years is all about how do we raise our state of consciousness to access these higher realms. So I've had these incredible, since I was a kid, these powerful spiritual experiences, but they were all at random. I could never say I want to have an experience. No, I had no idea when they would happen. Sometimes, like I said, I'd wake up in the morning and there was an angel there. Sometimes I'd wake up and I just instantly, it's like I go in a trance and I'm completely somewhere else. I was never in control of anything. But in 2014 now, because I had my breakdown, I had my near-death experience, I started to have so many questions in life. I needed guidance. I wasn't getting any real spiritual experiences to help me answer these questions. I had so many questions, I don't know where to get the answers anymore. And I wasn't having these experiences to bring me this, guidance or anything that I needed. So I remember there was so much frustration. All 2014 until November. I get a package in the mail. I opened the package.
Yeah.
It's a tarot deck.
Yes.
First of all, who sent me I had no interest in tarot. And it ended up being a website that I was purchasing crystals from. They had this monthly contest. The prize was a tarot deck. I won. They shipped me the tarot deck. I get it in the mail. I open the box. I'm like, a tarot deck. Okay. Linda even sees the tarot deck, and we're both like, okay, man, I don't want nothing to do with this. I took the deck and I threw it in a drawer, closed it, left it there for like 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And then I remember frustration kept building back because I have so much questions about life and things that I've gone through, and nothing was getting there. And then I remember waking up one morning, and it was funny. It was actually funny because the message I received as soon as I woke up is like, Dave, man, you keep complaining and building up all this frustration, that you want to find answers and communicate freely, with your higher self or with whatever it is your intentions are. You received a tool that's going to allow you to do that. That's all. Start using it, learn about it, and that's going to answer all your questions. And that's the first time where I said, what are you talking about? Tarot is fortune telling. It's just to predict the future. It's tapping into evil stuff. I don't get into that. And all I got is just work with tarot. And I'm like, okay, I open the deck, I look at the cards. I think it was a guardian angel tarot deck. So it's beautiful images of angels. So it was very easy to run through the deck. And, it's all these beautiful images. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So the first thing I did is I bought a series of books, a bunch of books. And I just started reading just to understand the structure. Okay, there's 78 cards. There's major arcana, the minor arcana, the numbers. That is, to understand at least the structure, the meaning behind the card, and the first thing, the guidance that I received was, you cannot memorize the meaning of the card. Every card has to be personal for you. And the way for me that after I learned tarot is that I developed a personal relationship by assigning a personal experience with each of the cards. So whenever I see a card, it triggers a personal experience that I've had. So that's how powerful the connection is, and that's how you act on the intuition. But I started working on that, and then I came across a book that was Tarot for Yourself by Mary Kay Greer, and it was all about teaching you how you just use tarot for yourself. It's not about fortune telling. No, just about learning about yourself and helping you, guide you through life. And that's when I'm like, okay, wait, now it's starting to get somewhere. And so through the years, as the years passed, I just started really working on tarot without memorizing anything that's out there, without any more guidance, just saying, okay, this is a tool that I'm going to use for my personal growth. And how can I channel now or access my higher self to get more guidance whenever I need it? I have a question, how do I get an answer for it now? Instead of waiting for a spontaneous experience to happen while I'm meditating, now I'm going to start working and let's try and trigger these experiences. And that's what happened. As I'm working with tarot, I can access instantly these sort of like a trance state where I'm able to communicate freely and but only things that are related to me and my personal journey, my personal growth, my personal understanding. And every session I have, always receive the exact guidance and wisdom that I need at that specific time and place for that specific moment in time. So it's really, that's how powerful it is, because you always get exactly what you need, right? Yeah. So how do I work with tarot, right?
So you use that tool, right, to kind of help you, right, to get to a certain place in your life, or to get understanding of your thoughts, and how do you interact with these thoughts, right?
But before that, it's a healing journey. It helped me heal, a lot of healing, deep healing from a lot of suppressed experiences, traumas, and emotions that I've had. It was all a healing journey. I was using tarot just to heal. And then, so from 2014 till 2020, that's when I published my first book about how I used tarot for raising our state of consciousness. And that's how I was using it. It's really by contemplating on a tarot card, because if you look at a tarot card, beautiful images, some might be scary, but there's nothing scary or negative or evil about the cards, right? Even if you look at the death card it's not physical death. The death card is a beautiful card of transformation. Yeah. Man, it's time to shed things that no longer serve us, that no longer help us. They're holding us back. The death card shows you, man, let it go. Let it go so you can grow. That's the power of the death card. So there's all these misconceptions that we used to have, that I used to have, man, they were all gone. So as I'm working with tarot, through all my work is there's 22 divine energies, because I really focus all about the human state of consciousness, because that's what allowed me to go through all my healings, to overcome all, my dark chapter, heal from everything I've gone through, my depression and everything. Yeah. It was all about the state of consciousness. Because when I was going through my depressions in my 20s, man, all I knew is that, man, I feel like I just keep falling to this endless pit of darkness. And that's what, when I was studying the Bible, what it taught me is that, man, with love, you can overcome anything. And that's when I realized, if I'm falling, that means there must be a way to start raising myself. But that's what tarot helped me now, is you can start raising your state of consciousness. Because as your state of consciousness keeps dropping and dropping, that's where you fall into these lower realms and you start experiencing all these negative, unwanted, disturbing thoughts, depression, sadness, anxiety, panic attacks. Yeah. But then as you start raising your state of consciousness, man, you feel like you come back to the light and you're balanced. Yeah. And then you feel like, oh, I'm myself again. Why? I haven't felt like this in years. Yeah. And then you have a choice to keep raising your state of consciousness again, and that's when you start accessing these higher realms. Yeah. And my main goal has never been to just, let's see and speak with other higher entities. No. Sometimes I would have these experiences because there's a purpose for me to receive a specific guidance or teaching. But my personal sort of objective was only to communicate with my higher self. Yeah. My higher self, my guide, what do I need right now?
It was a personal experience for you. And I think that's, when you first told me, for sure, like I said, my first reaction was, that's not something that, I'm, inclined to want to understand. It's, again, because of our past perception. And that's what made me realize it's, that's one of the, I would say, learnings that I had, and I was lucky because you're my brother. You see, and one of the things that I feel in life is that I got an amazing opportunity because you're my brother and because you were doing this, right? That I truly got to understand it from your point of view. Mm-hmm. And what I realized, and again, it touches to so many things, is that everything in life, when you do it for yourself or to help others or to help yourself, and it's pure, is good. Mm-hmm. But when you take that and you try to commercialize that same tool, that's when you start doing things that, in my point of view, is not right. And that's when you look at tarot, you talk to people about tarot, the first thing they think about is fortune telling, people spending money to know their future or X, Y, and Z, mm-hmm. right? But it's that same tool, because you use it for personal and no commercial gains, and to just help you. Yeah. Because we as human beings, we have so much emotions and we have so much things in our head and we go through so many experiences, and nobody has the perfect recipe how to go about it. And we always say it, and I always say it goes, life, if you have faith and you trust yourself and you do what's right, you go in a path where the solutions will be given to you mm-hmm. to help you, mm-hmm. what you need as a person, right? And you got that card and that helped you. And I could say it because I'm your brother and I saw what you went through, and I could speak from it because, I know what you've done with it, right? Yeah. Contrary to, people that don't know, they don't have the luxury to know you or to really understand it, right? Mm-hmm. And they base their opinion on what they see on the commercial side and what people really do it for, right?
Yeah, because and it's like, when you look at the tarot deck, like I said, the cards, beautiful images, like I said, some might seem scary at the beginning because we don't understand, but the card there's nothing magical or evil about the card. It's just a drawing. What I say it's magical about tarot is that it's the symbols and the imagery, that when you focus on the card and you concentrate, and this is what I call contemplation, that's one of my most favorite meditation technique, is to contemplate on a tarot card. The symbols that start coming out, they're like little keys that open these little doors to our consciousness. Mm-hmm. And once they're open, we start receiving, like I said before, whatever guidance or wisdom that we need at that specific time and place, just for what we need in that moment in time in our life. And that's how it's powerful. Because like I was saying before, the human state of consciousness is made up of these 22 divine energies. Okay, and if we go more into it, each of these 22 energies, they're associated with either a major arcana tarot card, but also one of the Hebrew alphabets or a path in the Kabbalah. So I decided to work with the tarot card. And that's how we're able to understand the full spectrum of the human state of consciousness by looking at these 22 major arcana tarot cards. And once we're able to embody a personal experience with each of these 22 divine energies that form our human state of consciousness, that's when we have this powerful awakening where you feel, oh, wow, I feel new because we've raised our state of consciousness. And that's how we're able to heal ourselves from anything we've suffered in the past, or fear, which is the thing that's the most powerful thing that goes against love is fear. It steals our present moment, right? Yeah. So by raising our state of consciousness, we're able to overcome all the fear and fill ourselves with love. But then once you raise our state of consciousness, it's like I always said is, man, we could keep raising it as high as we want. But then it's normal. Life happens, it's difficult, it's not, we're human, we're still having a human experience. Yeah. So it's normal that sometimes, man, we feel like we're going through a hard time again. But the magic thing is that now we know how to handle that moment, that experience. It might have seemed negative, but it's no longer negative. It's a learning experience. We see it as a lesson now, and we're able to go back to ourselves and to bring ourselves back to our, the state that we reach. Because no matter how high we rise, we'll never fall back down.
Yeah.
You might seem that something set you back, but that's just because there's another lesson you have to go back and learn, and then you come back.
Yeah, but one way I see it is that by you using this tool, right, are these cards, is that it gives you an opportunity to talk about your emotions. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're even when you're saying you're looking at your cards, and each card means something at a specific time, a specific moment. But really, what you're doing is you're putting in a physical manner a way to express your feelings and to talk about your feelings and try to understand your feelings, right?
Yeah.
And like everybody uses different ways of doing it. Mm-hmm. Some people are not able to just maybe meditate, right? Like they don't have the capacity to just meditate, and they need other types of tools, right?
Yep.
And I think that's the one of the powerful messages that I've learned, you're seeing, you go through what you're going through and using, the tarot, is that, man, it helps you accomplish what you need to accomplish based on what you're able to do, right? Like me, I remember I meditate a lot, because even meditation, right? Like prayer is meditation.
Yeah.
But right, in the last...
There's so many different types, different forms of meditation.
It's all different types. Yeah. There's, people use different terms, whether it's meditation, whether it's prayer, whether it's, readings, tarot, whether, even when you go see a psychologist and you just sit down with a psychologist and you have this conversation, these are all forms. It's basically what it does is you talk about your feelings. Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing that I've learned in life is the more you're confident in yourself, that gives you the strength to talk about your feelings with no reservation, with no fear of what people think. Mm-hmm. That's what lets out, the power of healing, right? Course. And that, when we speak about, we talked about a lot of things, me and you, and that's what I love about us, is that we're not specific in one thing, man. We're able to talk about anything in life, and it doesn't mean because, I don't truly believe in something that it's not good, it's like we're able to talk about something. And that's what I think gives us our strength, is that we're confident in our faith. I'm confident in who I am.
Yep.
I'm confident enough that I could respect everything else, because, everybody has their own ways. And if it could help people, whatever helps people is a good thing.
Of course, exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned, meditation, because there's so many different types of meditation. Reciting a mantra, a prayer. Running outside is meditating. Anything that gets you within yourself, away from the noise. Whatever that practice is for you, that is a form of meditation. But the funny thing, I know many times when I talk to people about, do you meditate? Have you tried meditation? They always say, most of them always say, I tried, it's too hard, it's too complicated, I get bombarded with so many thoughts, because they only think of meditation as, okay, you have to sit quietly and clear your thoughts and just focus on breathing and then focus on nothing. And that's actually a really hard meditation technique to do. It doesn't have to be that complicated. That's why I always show contemplating on a tarot card is so much easier to do it. because you're not trying to silence your mind and keep everything quiet. You're just allowing yourself to enter the world within the image that you're staring at and questioning anything about it. So it's a very active form of meditation with the same benefit as something that's like, just sitting quiet, trying to, quiet the mind. And by contemplating on a tarot card, especially the major arcana tarot cards, that's what actually allows you to sort of embody a personal experience with that specific energy. And if you're doing the 22 major arcana tarot cards, like I told you, once you embodied all these 22 energies, that's where this huge shift happens within you. And that's where you feel, and actually what happens is you're raising your state of consciousness.
And when you talk about, that people, you look at a card and it's based on what you see, right?
Yes.
And what it tells you as a person. I go back to the Bible, it's the same thing. And that's why I have sometimes a problem with religion sometimes, because religion is a very strict square, like a sandbox, that's the religion, right? And it prevents you from accepting anything else. And for me, what's really important, it's the relationship you have with God, between you and God. And the Bible is the same thing. When you read the Bible, it's how does the Bible speak to you?
Exactly.
When you read the verse, you might feel a certain way, like that verse, it might mean something to you that it's very different for somebody else. But it doesn't matter. It's how it speaks to you, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that it's there for everybody. It's an individual journey that we have. We all have an individual journey, and we all have to see things the way we see it to help us.
Exactly.
And when I look at religion, that's the problem. I was born a Catholic. I said it, I was born a Catholic. I didn't choose to be a Catholic. I was born in a Catholic family, and I developed a strong faith because I was in this family, right? But I have very good friends of other religion, and I accept other religions.
Always.
Like I love to learn about other religions, and I'm able to have great interaction with people, and my religion doesn't prevent me from doing anything with anybody else. So it's the same thing.
Of course.
So I think if you're able, I always say, and me, that's my measuring stick is, if you're doing something right or wrong, or if you're surrounded by right or wrong people, by the life people are living. And we're not living a perfect life. I'm not living a perfect life, but I'm living a good life. I'm hoping I'm doing more good than bad. But when I look at the way you're living, right, you're living a good life. You're helping people. And so when you see people living a good life, they might be doing something right, right? And I know so many people, and most of the people I know are from different religions, different beliefs, and they're all living great lives. Yeah. So they're all doing something right, and that's the measuring thing. Because I believe when you're doing things for the wrong reason, or you're not doing the right things,
it's not based on the religion; it's based on your heart.
Exactly.
If you have a good heart, you do things for the right reason. That's what defines you as a good person.
Yes.
Because my personal spiritual practice, it incorporates so many different religions, from Christianity to Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism. There's so much that I've grasped from every separate religion that for me, it makes sense. I believe in it, and I combine everything into my own personal practice. Yeah. And also when I work with tarot, what I really like about tarot is that I consider tarot a book. But it's not a book that was written, okay? And it's not a book that you read. Because the content of the tarot, it's not written on paper. The content of tarot is not the drawings on the paper. The content of tarot is in our higher consciousness. And it's like you said, you access this higher consciousness by contemplating on these images and symbols. And then you receive whatever information you personally need at that specific time and place to help you with your life today. Yeah. And that's the beautiful part of working with tarot. And it's like you said about reading a verse in the Bible. Is going to speak to you in a different way that it will speak to me, because we're in two different times in our lives. We've experienced different things. We've learned different things. So we're in a different journey in life, and it'll give us exactly what we each need on our journeys. But then when we come together, the only thing we have in mind, and I always tell everybody, all I care about is that we're having a human experience together.
Exactly.
Irrelevant of our religions or backgrounds or anything. We're humans.
Yes.
All we care about is what? Is about enjoying this life.
Exactly.
Caring for our loved ones, our families, our friends, our children. making sure they're happy, and we're all happy together.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's important as a number one priority.
Yeah.
Everything else is just, I find sometimes it's just labels that we're putting to separate us and divide us when that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, it's because people get intimidated when they hear things that kind of go against their own state of belief. But that's because maybe you're not strong enough in your own belief, right? Because it doesn't have to be wrong what somebody else is doing, because it's different than what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If it makes that person happy, if it helps that person go through a specific journey, it cannot be wrong, right? And I think people are intimidated sometimes, or again, a lot of things are based on perception. What I believe is that most of us, we don't know nothing. Everything that we know is because of we heard something, we see something. It's very rare that you have a really human experience with something and that you're able to say that it's no good, right? Mm-hmm. Like I said, I was lucky enough that I'm your brother, and that's why I could speak to what you're doing and the tarot more than if I would have, not known somebody, right? But because I have such a privilege of being, close to somebody that does it, I could truly understand it. Mm-hmm. And I could see that there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I believe it 100% or that I do it every day. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I know what you're doing with it. It's helping you in your journey. It's helping people around you with their journey. And when you're helping, they cannot be wrong.
Exactly. Because also what's important to understand about tarot, it's not a tool that predicts the future. It allows you, when we're looking at our personal journey, it allows you just to map out, okay, but how does our environment looking right now? How are things unfolding? Where are we at right now on our journey, on our life, so we can better understand it? And it shows us where we are headed. Yeah. But it's all based on all our past experiences, our thoughts, our actions, everything we've done. It just shows us, okay, but this is where you're headed. It's not predicting the future. No. If you choose not to do anything, it'll manifest, because that's just the flow of life. Yeah. But we're in control. We have the power to alter our journey. We have a choice to say, I'm not happy right now. And it takes a lot to say that. I'm not happy. Or I'm scared of this. I'm afraid of that. The first thing we need to do is we have to learn how do we face this fear, to move away from it, and then we could see our journey clearly. Yeah. So tarot is always something that just brings light to say, okay, this is where we are right now, where we're going. Yeah. If we're not happy with this, we have the power to start working on ourselves to change that future, right? We gotta heal ourselves so the future becomes more brighter instead of darker. Yeah. If we get scared and we don't do nothing and we just, leave it to just what the reading said, we're allowing it to manifest.
Yeah, but the misconception too is that people think that you use tarot and you're telling people, A, B, C, this is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And my experience, seeing you doing it, it's basically a conversation. Mm-hmm. These are cards that enable just a conversation between two people and enables you, again, I go back to talk about your feelings, talk about how you perceive things. Mm-hmm. And by having that conversation with somebody else, they can tell you how they see based on their perception. So the bottom line, it's a way of communicating. It's a way of expressing your feelings, and it's a way to kind of help you
heal. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's why one of, I guess, my only role in all of my spiritual practice, the only role that I always, let's say, allow myself to undertake is just to guide someone else in order to develop the relationship with their higher self. And once that's established, my mission is done. Yeah. Because once you've established your connection with your higher self, that's the most powerful guide you can ever have for your life. Yeah. So let's say I'm helping someone, and whether I'm deciding to help them with meditation or tarot or whatever way I choose to go about it, all I do in work, even if I'm doing a healing session, all I'm doing is helping them heal themselves. That's the step one. Face everything that's been suppressed over the past, many, many years. And once that's been complete, then my last thing that's left to do is to open that doorway so they can, communicate with their higher self. And that's the most empowering thing anyone can do for themselves. Because once you do it, then the only thing that you're gonna be focused on moving forward apart from your beautiful new journey that unfolds, is what? Is helping others. And that's where the magic of us having this human experience is seeing another person that we've helped, now being able to help someone else.
Exactly.
And that's like what we said last time, we can't change the world. We could change one person.
Yeah.
And then by helping that one person can help another person. And that's all we can do. And it creates like a tree. And then that's what I try to share with our kids. And it amplifies and slowly.
Yeah, exactly. And you see that concept, it's the same concept with your faith in religion. It's
of
the
course,
same thing.
100%.
People that have strong faith in any religions, that's exactly the same thing. Is, your faith enables you to help others, right? If you have a strong faith and you got to a certain level with your faith where you have so much confidence and faith in yourself and in God, and you're able to build your journey with confidence, and you're able now at that moment to help others because you have that, and you help others that don't have that same strength. So it's all the same objective.
It's all connected.
Everything's all connected. And also the other thing that it enables, whether even if you're fasting, meditating, you're doing the tarot, religion, prayers, what you're really doing also when we talk about your higher self is, your higher self is hidden in you, I believe, right? It's in you. And there's so much pollution in this world that, I always say our brain is like the antenna, right?
Yep.
And our brain is full, it caps everything, right? It receives everything out there. And that's the problem. It's because there's so much in your head.
Noise. It's all
and there's the
noise.
there's the fear, there's all kinds of stuff. But your true self, your truth is in your heart.
Yeah.
So many times, when you have that gut feeling or you feel something, that's your heart speaking. But then you have your brain telling you, no, don't do it, because of fear, X, Y, and Z. And I think all these things that we do as people with good-hearted, whether it's through your own religion, through your faith, or through tarot, or through, any other types of meditation, is basically you becoming your heart, to empower your heart to be bigger than your brain, and to remove the noise from your brain. And I think that's super important, and it's such an important aspect in life that's how you get your confidence in building the journey that you need to.
Yeah, and then that's how, then once you heal yourself, you overcome the fear, and you reach these higher states, then that's how, when we go back to Cockaigne living, that's how you're able to have a balanced personal life with your family and friends, a balanced professional life. And that's something I always say, it's, you don't have to look at, let's say, working like it's a 9-to-5 job and it's depressing and it's hard. No, once you reach this balanced state, you're just happy living your experience of life on the physical world, being with people, working. It's no longer just about a job to pay the bills. It's a whole, you're looking at everything as a beautiful experience. Yeah. And that's how we're able to have this personal balance, professional balance, and spiritual balance. Yeah. And again, like you said, spiritual could be anything. Could be religion, could be meditation, could be tarot, could be exercising, running. Yeah. It could be anything that allows you to just step away from the noise. That's for me what defines spirituality. Yeah. You go within yourself, you're in spirituality. Whatever you choose, whatever works for you.
Exactly. It's exactly that. Because once you remove your nose, you find your spirituality. Yeah. You find the confidence, and you find that it's okay what you're feeling, right? And I think that's super important. And I think that's the message that people have to understand, and that people stop having preconceived ideas of what's right and wrong. There's nothing right and wrong. When somebody truly does something to help somebody else, there's no right and wrong. There can only be a right. Because if you're really doing it with your heart in the right place and you're truly doing it to help somebody, whatever thing you're doing to help somebody, it cannot be wrong, right? So, and I think once we stop always judging and stop saying what's right, what's wrong, that religion is good, that religion is not right, and just trying to understand yourself, what it truly means, to be faithful, what truly means, my friend who's maybe who's his faith is different than mine, do you really think that if that person is a good person, has a heart and right, that he wants to do, bad to me, based on his religion, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think people should just stop judging and live your life, and find your path. If your path is a religion, a certain religion, it whatever makes you take out the noise and empower yourself and being confident and walk like that nobody could stop you, and I think and people should stop looking for, what somebody else is doing.
Yeah, and that's one of the issues with social media, because it's all putting our focus on the perception of others on our life.
Yeah.
Instead of us, like we always said, us focusing within ourselves, we're so preoccupied on what are they thinking about us.
Exactly.
And that's where, like I always said, there's always a good, there's a balance with social media, right?
Yeah.
But it's extremely important to make sure we have time to ourselves to go within, which is spirituality, and it's extremely important, especially today with how we are surrounded with so much technology, and now with AI and social media, it's extremely important for everyone to have a personal spiritual practice, whatever it is, but to get away from that noise, to have a break from that noise, and to go within so you can be filled with love. And that's the most important thing.
And you're the perfect example, Dave, because you come from, like I said, very traditional, Catholic family. All of our family members, all of our uncles, our cousins, nobody even ever came close to tarot, right? Nobody, right? All of our friends, until you start, looking into this, nobody even touched that. And you had the guts to do it. You had the guts to say, you know what? Because it called you. It was a tool for you to help you, right? And now because you had that guts and didn't care what people thought, because it doesn't matter what people think, because it's helping you first.
That's right, yeah.
And then by helping you first, it enabled you to help many other people, right? But because you took that first step, right, with something that had such bad perception, in the general public and bad reputation, and people saw it differently, but you saw it that it could have helped you. And I think, and again, I go back to the privilege that because we're brothers, I got to see that and I got to know it. So that's why I have such a different perception that a stranger that might even just listen to this podcast, or somebody that doesn't know us, will have a different perception, until they meet you, right? And until they truly understand what you're doing, or they truly understand, how it's helping others, right? And I think that's the magic of all of it.